Hi there. Hope you guys are doing really, really well. My name is Brian. I am your queer psychic bestie. And I have a reading for you today. This is going to be a monthly forecast for the sign of Aquarius for the month of July. So if you are an Aquarius, have it in your chart. Maybe you just vibe with Aquarius. Maybe you're a cross watcher. Who really knows? This reading might resonate for you. Okay, as always, just like with any tarot reading you see on the internet, we're going to take what resonates and we're going to leave what does not. If you would like to book a personal reading with me, you can do that through email or form submission on my website. Aquarius, we are going to be doing a Celtic cross. So just a general look at what's going on in July for you, what's blocking you, what's your advice, what's going on. Just really looking at all of it. All right. Let's see what's happening. Excuse me. The first thing that I had come through when I sat down was actually a song. It is, you'll have to forgive me, I'm not sure if this is like literally the title of the song, but like I think it's called Neverland. It's about I am a lost boy from Neverland, always on the run from Peter Pan. Yeah, it's that came through. So maybe you like Peter Pan or you watched it recently. Maybe you just like really like the song, but that came through, so I will give it to you. All right. Let's dive in. Bottom of the deck is your challenge, represents what you're not seeing, what you're not looking at. You've got the Hanged Man, you've got the Wheel of Fortune, and you've got the Knight of Swords. Interesting, Aquarius. It feels like a lot of your challenge this month is actually like it's a movement after being still. The way that this is coming through is like some of you may have found that you were in a bit of a stagnant period where things were not really going your way, or it's just this general feeling of like nothing is happening the way that I want it to happen. And it feels like after this stagnancy, there is sort of this very fast kind of propel out of that. With that Knight of Swords. The Knight of Swords is the second fastest card in the deck. The Wheel of Fortune is Divine Intervention, and the Hanged Man is that stillness. I feel like this is a challenge because I feel like you almost got... It's interesting. It's like I'm hearing you got comfortable in the stillness. And now I feel like when we are in a Hanged Man state, we are in a state of like hanging ourselves upside down from the tree to gain higher enlightenment. It is not permanent, right? We do it to have these aha moments and then we go from there. We are supposed to use what we learn in the Hanged Man to to make our dreams happen, you know? It feels like for some of you, you got into this Hanged Man state and you got so comfortable that you were like, well, I don't really want to leave now. And now your guides are like, they're showing me like a baby bird being pushed out of the nest. Your guides are like, let's go, fly, go do something, which is kind of funny. So let's dive in. Let's talk about it. So you start with the star. I do love this Aquarius because the star is the card of Aquarius and it's your first card. So you're showing up in your own energy, showing up heavily in your own reading, which is great because it feels like the word I keep hearing is autonomy. It feels like you are taking back your autonomy this month in July. Like you're focusing very heavily on, like if I'm going to leave the nest, where am I going? You know, if the universe is going to baby bird me, throw me out of the tree, like what's next for me? What did I actually do? It feels like you're also going back to your roots for some of you with the Hanged Man, because it feels like you're focusing now on like, well, why did I do this in the first place? You know, I feel like you needed a gentle reminder of like what forced you, or not forced you, I shouldn't say that, but like, what propelled you into the Hanged Man energy to begin with? You know, was it like you were looking for insight, you were looking for answers? Like, what was the cause of this? You know, your crossing energy is the Eight of Cups. So in the Celtic cross, the crossing card is a help or a hindrance. I feel like this is a help for you guys. Eight of Cups is the exit. So like I said, there's a really big energy for you guys, for Aquarius, for July, of like, I'm not going to remain this way anymore. You know, I feel like some of you are... The way my guides are giving this to me is kind of funny, but it's almost like you got your degree. What are you still doing sitting in class? You know, I feel like you have learned what you needed to learn here, and now it's time to like really fly. Like it's time to get something off the ground here. Interesting. A lot of the air sign readings this month are a lot of action. You guys are all in similar boats. There's a lot of action being taken by the air signs. But let's see. What are we doing? I can't make it up. Knight of Swords. This is really fast movement, babe. Excuse me. This might be work. Page of Pentacles. It doesn't have to be. And Justice. Wow. I feel like some of you are really focusing on... Why am I getting so many songs for you, Aquarius? Britney Spears. I don't know what the song is called. You'll have to forgive me, but do you want a hot body? Do you want a Maserati? Then you better work, bitch. I think it's literally called like work, bitch. It feels like that's the energy here, babe. I gotta be honest with you. This is like a hot girl month for you. Okay, regardless of gender here, everyone can have a hot girl month, all right? We're all allowed. It feels like with this Knight of Swords, the Justice, and the Page of Pentacles, a lot of you are really going after not just like what you want, but what you feel like you deserve with Justice. Justice is karma, but also like equal, it's reciprocity, it's equality, all of these things. And it feels like your July is, the Women Guide just said this to me is interesting. It's inebriated with like, oh, inundated. Thank you. I heard that wrong. I was like, inebriated? Doesn't that mean drunk? It's inundated with receiving what you've been giving out, you know? So it feels like for a lot of you with this Page of Pentacles, some of you might be getting raises at work. Some of you could just be in like a really good spot in work right now. If you're a service provider, if you have, you know, if you're giving to people, it feels like people are going to be wanting your attention. There's going to be a lot of like, hey, I want to buy that product from you. I want to, you know, oh, you make earrings. I want to purchase those earrings from you. Split the deck on the Five of Swords. Aquarius, I would be a little bit careful here with this month with the self-sabotage. This feels like specifically in the area of like spreading yourself too thin. I feel like sometimes the way that this is coming through, you guys might find that you struggle with consistency, like you're either swinging from one extreme to the other, and it feels like your guides are trying to get you to find that middle ground, that like happy in between here. And I feel like a lot of you guys are going to come out of this slow period where you were like kind of cocooned and staying to yourself and just kind of throw yourself and like run yourself ragged into this next period of your life. And your guides are like, slow down. You don't have to do that. Take some time. You're good. You know, I really do feel like you are on a good path here. I just feel like you need to take your time a little bit more, okay? In your headspace, you have the Six of Swords. So like I said, you're kind of like... all the lights are green here, Aquarius. This is a really positive momentum reading because it feels like you have the wind beneath your sails, right? Like your guides are like, okay, go, go, go. Green means go. What? What is this game? Oh, you're gonna have to forgive me. You're all gonna laugh at me because I can't think of the name of the game. It might just be Red Light, Blue Light. Red Light, Blue Light, 1, 2, 3. That just came through. Like maybe you feel like you're playing that a little bit with yourself right now. You know, it's like they turn around and you're like, okay, let me get as fast as I can. That's interesting to come through. Red light, blue light, 1, 2, 3. Yeah. Yeah, Two of Pentacles. It feels like if you're not careful here, you're gonna overburden yourself a little bit. Yeah, Seven of Swords, Five of Pentacles. I would be very careful, Aquarius, also with like... How do I say this? People that are asking a lot from you. Okay, it feels like with the Five of Pentacles here, you've got the Seven of Swords and the Two of Pentacles. Some of you may feel like you just left this solitary period, and then you may have some people around you that trigger you a little bit in the regard of they're suddenly asking for 8 million things from you. And I feel like it's going to kind of bring you back to like, oh my God, I need to be solitary again. This is not what I wanted. So I am going to caution you here, guys. You are on a really good trajectory. But again, Three of Pentacles in the challenge with the Empress. this. In the words of Oprah, no is a complete sentence, Aquarius. You are allowed to tell people no. You are allowed to tell people that you don't want to do something. Okay? You are not like conscripted here to someone to do their bidding or like to do tasks for them, all right? You are allowed to say no. If someone asks you for something that you don't have the spoons for, you don't have the energy for, just say no, babe. Okay? It feels like this is going to come up in your mental space this month because, like I said, it's like you're coming out of hiding and then suddenly everyone's like, oh, Aquarius, I need help with this. Oh, I need help with that. Oh, can you help me with this? And you're like, wait, what's going on here? In your physical world as a Queen of Pentacles, sometimes, babe, we have to take the mom hat off. Okay, you may be a literal mom here. You don't have to be, but it feels like you struggle, again, taking that mom hat off because you're like, well, I have to help everyone. I have to save everyone, I just heard. Something I would encourage you to like journal about or think about for yourself, Aquarius, is like, are we here to save anyone but ourselves? All that we are here to save is us. Us. Okay? I tell my clients this, I tell my collective this, I tell other service providers this. It is not our job to save other people. We can help other people, we can guide other people, but we cannot save them. Okay? You have to start remembering this because I feel like you go out of your way to the detriment of yourself. You know, with that King of Wands here, maybe it's like specifically for romantic partners as well. Yeah, Queen of Cups and the Page of Cups. A lot of you need to also this month, you're going to be working on your self-worth. Because I feel like a lot of this stems from what feels like just a deeply ingrained sense of like, well, if I want love, I have to prove it. Or if I want attention, I have to prove it. Or if I want something, I have to, you know, kind of show myself off, you know, like I have to earn these things by proving to everyone. It feels like with this King of Wands and the Queen of Cups, you are kind of also being asked to look at things from a more emotional perspective this month. With that King of Wands, I do feel like I just got antsy all of a sudden. Maybe emotions make you uncomfortable, but it feels like your King of Wands is very task oriented, right? King of Wands is like, oh, I'm going to go here. I'm going to get this done. I'm passionate about this. I'm going to, you know, it's a lot of passion and drive. With the Queen of Cups, it is more about sitting with ourselves and sitting with our emotions and understanding, well, what am I feeling? Why is this coming up for me? You know, how can I better understand my own emotional self, my own emotional body, and then help me become that King of Wands and push me forward and drive me forward. You know, I feel like some of you get triggered when people are like this, like when everyone's like wanting a piece from you, but you don't really know why. It's because you're not sitting with yourself enough, okay? In the past here, you do have the Fool in the reverse. I do feel like in the past there's a little bit of energy here, Aquarius, of like not really changing, you know, just kind of like staying the same, doing the same thing over and over and over again. And I feel like with that Fool in the reverse here, your guides are highlighting this to you because it's kind of, I feel like what catapulted you into your Hanged Man era, you know, where you were just kind of like, okay, I have to hang myself upside down from this tree and I have to understand, why am I not changing? Why am I not doing anything? Why am I allowing cycles that make my life more difficult to continue to permeate my life? You know, and I feel like, yeah, Five of Wands, it was a lot of inner conflict for you. Wheel of Fortune, but you were meant to have this, you know, this was a destined event. Hanged Man, I can't make it up. Literally, Hanged Man in the challenge, Hanged Man clarifying. This was a destined event for you because in order to understand why you're doing something, why you're acting the way you are, you have to understand your emotions and you have to understand what caused it in the first place. You know, let's use for an example, if you have a rejection wound, maybe you could trace it back to you asked that person out in 8th grade and they said no. There's your rejection wound. How did you feel in that moment? Were you taken care of? Did anyone show you sympathy? What was the reaction? Etc., etc. And so it feels like that's where you guys are coming from now. You know, it's like you're understanding, okay, I feel like I have to please everyone. I feel like I have to be a people pleaser. Like, where does that come from? Why do I think that way? And by unearthing all of this, you really start to see yourself in the correct light, is what my guides are saying. You know, oftentimes we have that, like, again, my guides are saying our very skewed view of ourselves, which is true. Most of the time it is very skewed. But when we peel those layers of us back like onions, we finally start seeing who's there at the center. And I just bit my tongue when I said that. That's why I stuttered a little. And why they are the way they are. Okay. I feel like that's what your past was here to show you, Aquarius. And it feels like July is going to be very heavy in that area. Because your near future is the 10 of Cups, the wish fulfillment, happiness. 10 of Cups is like, we are our own happy endings, but the 10 of Cups is like when you think of the emotional amalgamation, the conceptualization of happiness, what does it mean to you? I'm not talking the house, the partner, the dog, the state. I'm not talking any of that. The idea of happiness, like I said, the conceptualization of it. What does it mean to you? Is it safety? Is it contentment? Is it adventure? All of these are different for every single person, you know? So you need to start understanding this is where, and this is why, I meant to say why, not where, why your work was so important here when you were in your hanged man phase, because you need to answer those questions for yourself so that you can plan for yourself. You know, and it's down. My guides are saying also it's more than the nitty gritty, or excuse me, it's more than just on the surface. It's the nitty gritty. You know, on the surface, I may tell you I hate the summer. I don't like anywhere hot, so I want to move somewhere cold. Okay, great, that's surface. But then when we think about when I do get to my cold place, wherever that is in the world, what's there? Is it reclusion? Is it city life? Am I partnered? You know, there's so many different things here. Do I have animals? Do I own a farm? Like, all of these things filter into the 10 of Cups energy. And if we don't understand ourselves, how can we understand what our happy ending is? Yeah, you guys have the Magician, like I said, the Manifester, the Lovers, and the 9 of Cups. A lot of you also want there to be love in the future, and there will be, babe. Absolutely. But this also filters into partners, right? Because if we don't know what we want in a partner, we settle for people that we really don't deserve. And when I say don't deserve, I mean in that, like, they are not good people. Okay? For instance, the example my guides want me to give you is like when we're dating down or we're dating people that we're really not interested, they're a safe choice. Maybe they're boring. They don't excite us. And so we view it as a safe choice. That is doing ourselves a disservice, but also that other person a disservice. Aquarius, in July, you're focused so heavily on what do you want in a partner? What do you want out of life from a partner, from everything, and how do you get it? Okay. I'm tripping over my words right now. Sorry. Sometimes the channel is so fast I can't keep up with it. A reader once said to me, and I'm going to say it back to you guys here because it really did help me in my decision making. She said, if it's not a hell yes, it's a fuck no. Okay, and that's how we need to start treating these options. If I date someone and I'm just like, oh, they're okay, what am I doing? Okay, you deserve to date someone and create a life for yourself that sets your soul on fire, that excites you, that wakes up every day with butterflies. You know, you need, but in order to do that, again, do you see we're coming full circle? You have to know yourself, and you have to know what you're looking for, and know what you value, and know what is a requirement for you in a partner, in a life, in all of this, okay? Because how you feel is the King of Wands. So King of Wands twice. Some of you could have strong fire placements as well. King of Wands, like, you are passionate. You are driven. King of Wands is flirty. You are ready to go out on the town, babe. You know, it feels like, I mean, you have the Emperor twice here in two different spots. This one's in reverse, though. We'll talk about it after this. You know, I feel like you guys are very ready to start a life is what I'm hearing, and like get your show on the road, get your show moving here. I feel like I said that to you already. But What do we need to talk about here? Nine of Wands, Four of Wands. Oh, you're scared of commitment. That's what we need to talk about. Four of Wands, Nine of Wands, and the Hermit. I feel like some of you are, like I said, you like being free-spirited here. You like not being in a commitment, but at the same time, you want one. I feel like with this Nine of Wands, some of you have been burned in the past by a commitment, and that's why you're wary of it. That's why you're like, oh, I don't really know if I want to do that. It feels like the way my guides are giving this to me is really interesting, but they're telling you to explore. I feel like what they mean by this is like, you may not want commitment because you've been with the wrong people. You know what I mean? This is like one of those moments of, some people don't want commitment, right? There's non-monogamy, there's polyamory, which is a bad example because there is commitment in that. But there's so many different like fluid identities when it comes to commitment and romantic attraction here. And I feel like your guides are just, they want you to really confront your fear of commitment and where it's coming from. And what are you gaining from not being committed here? You know, for a lot of you, I feel like this is just the fear of, well, if I get committed, I'm going to get hurt again. The way that I will tell you that my guides want me to give this to you is the way to protect yourself here is having good boundaries, right? So if we are picking, oh my God, picking correct partners, if we are vetting our partner, vetting is a harsh word, but if we're getting to know someone and we figure out, oh wait, they're not really vibing with me, I'm not vibing with them, maybe this is not the person to settle with. You know, I feel like a lot of you have avoidant attachments. You get scared when you get close to people. If you're not in therapy, I would get in therapy for this, because attachment style can be really tricky to work with. But I do feel like a lot of you need to start deconstructing and again, they're showing me the onion, peeling it back and asking yourself, like, what about commitment is so scary? Where does it come from? And let's say it is cheating. I have a cheating wound. Okay, how can I protect myself from being cheated on? This is sort of a double-edged question, right? Because we have free will. I may have a partner that I trust completely and they may have a psychotic break and cheat on me one day, but I'm also going to tell you guys that I don't think you're afraid of being cheated on. I think you're afraid that you will never be able to rebuild from it. Okay, that's what I feel like here. I feel like this is not a fear of like, oh, someone could hurt me. Anyone can hurt us, babe. Anyone could betray us at any given moment during our day, during our year, ever. Your true actual fear here is that you will never recover from it. You will not be able to build yourself up. At the center of that fear is some sort of self-limiting belief about, I can't take care of myself. I can't build myself up. I can't recover. I can't heal. Okay? That's what I mean when I say peel the onion back. It's not just enough to be like, oh, I don't want commitment. But then when you're alone, you're like, damn, I really want commitment. You know, do you see what I mean? You have these like two kind of parts of you that are fighting. And in order to get them on the same page, you have to simply get to know them better. Okay? Because your supporting energy is the Emperor in the reverse. This is me also kind of, to me, this feels like you wanting to be free. You know, that's where this supporting energy is really coming in from. Or like how it's translating to me here. You know, Emperor in the reverse. Yeah, Knight of Wands. Like I said, some of you are out here, you want to sow your oats, and that's totally fine. Yeah, Devil. But a lot of you are not understanding Death in reverse. You're not sowing your oats because you want to. You're doing it because you feel trapped and that you have to. You're so afraid to be vulnerable and open up to someone that you would rather never have to open up to anyone ever again, and just go around flitting from bed to bed. You know, I feel like for a lot of you, like I said, we can sow our oats. Absolutely. Go out, live your life, do what you want as long as you're safe. But with Death in the reverse, I also feel like you owe it to yourselves to be truthful with yourself and understand and ask yourself, well, why am I doing this? If it's not fulfilling to me, what's it giving to me? Oh, I'm protecting myself? From what? And then you go down the rabbit hole, okay? To me, like I said, this feels like that fear of being cheated on, that fear of being left, all of these fears of not being able to build myself back up. So I just avoid it completely. Okay. Your fear here is the Page of Swords in the reverse. So that kind of fits. Page of Swords in the reverse is the Wandering Eye. You know, so it does kind of feel like Ace of Wands, bottom of the deck. You guys, Aquarius, I didn't expect it to turn this way. You have a really big cheating wound here that you guys are really going to confront in July. It feels like you've done a lot of this Hanged Man healing for so long that this is like kind of like your last big one. You know, like your last big roadblock to getting what you want is the lack of being able to be vulnerable with someone. Yeah, the Four of Cups. A lot of you do actually have a rejection wound. No wonder they had me say it before. You know, a lot of you... I'll tell you what I tell all my clients and all my collectives. When we have a rejection wound, we're telling on ourselves. Why? Because when I'm saying I'm afraid of being rejected, it's because I've already rejected myself. I know, it's an ugly one. You need to start accepting yourself. Radical self-acceptance and self-love. Okay? It doesn't start with radical self-acceptance and love. It starts with neutrality. You know, get into the habit of not degrading yourself. That's a good habit to get into, right? Because even here with your Wandering Eye, it's clarified by the Nine of Swords, the Four of Cups, and the Seven of Wands. The way my guides are saying this is if you are not aligned within yourself, you will not find a soul outside of you to align with. Okay, so what I mean by is, let's say you do go out on the dating arena apps, whatever it is, and you're talking to people and you're like, oh, I want a relationship. And someone's like, oh, I just want to have fun. Okay, then that's not for me. You know, the way that you, the way my guides are saying this is kind of funny because they're saying how mature adults date and mingle is very different than how kids date and mingle. Okay, you need to start finding people and asking hard questions. What are you looking for? What's your long-term goals? Where do you want to go after this? You know, and then you start dating and then you start seeing if you like someone, and guess what? If you don't like each other, you're mature adults and you're like, hey, it's not working. And they're like, oh, I was feeling the same. And you go your separate ways. That's it. You know, I feel like some of you have to remember that you are an adult here. So you have to act accordingly. You can't just go out and not say anything to anyone and expect for things to change. That's how we end up in the hole, right? Because we didn't use our voice. We didn't advocate for ourselves. Okay? Your outcome is the devil. You know, July is really testing your self-limiting beliefs, Aquarius. It's really testing you on a very deep emotional level about what it is that you want, what's holding you back, and how can you maneuver around it. Okay? Yeah, Page of Swords. I feel like Five of Swords. A lot of you are going to start... Yeah, Page of Wands, but it's in the reverse. As difficult as it is for you guys, I feel like Aquarius, a lot of you in July are going back to the inner world. You know, it's like you're like I said, your guides are throwing you out the nest. So you may be out in the open world, you know, in the real world, but you're asking questions that are deep inner world questions. You know, Page of Swords, Five of Swords, Page of Wands in the reverse, because at the end of the day, you don't want to self-sabotage. Because at the end of the day, it feels like a lot of you are looking at July being like, okay, I want this, so I need to figure out how to get it. What's the next step for me? You know, this does feel like a very, like a positive sort of end to your month, but it is, it's bringing you back into the waters of emotion, which is a little bit uncomfortable, I feel like, for you guys. But let's get you an oracle card. I am just cleaning up my cards because lately I have been trying to get myself into better habits of cleaning up my cards as I go so that I do not stress myself out by having cards strewn all over my desk. So, all right, cool. Last one. Oop, and it's in the wrong pile. Perfect. The oracle deck we are using today is the Angelarium. It is my favorite oracle deck. I will use it literally until I'm dead and buried. All right. Can I get some advice for Aquarius, please, for July? Aquarius for July, please. What do they need to know? What's the tea? What's their advice? All right. Let's get it. Aquarius in July, please. Aquarius in July, please. Thank you. Perfect. Interesting. Very interesting. So this deck, I will explain this. This deck is split up to, it is the angels before their fall and then after their fall. You have an angel, your advice is the angel after his fall. It's Azazel the Exile. And on the bottom of your deck, your challenge is Azazel before he fell, which is the angel of sacrifices. Very interesting, Aquarius. Let's read this. I'm very interested. Number is 73 for those of us that are into numerology. Okay. Regardless of the cost, you may need to commit yourself to goals that are laid in front of you. Your actions may not be without controversy, but that is a sign that what you are doing is laden with importance. You may suffer loss and heartache, but the path is clear. Wow. I think it's very interesting that that is the advice card you got after everything we talked about today. So, Aquarius, I leave you with this. If this reading resonated with you, if my reading style resonates with you, do consider leaving a like and subscribing. We are on the way to 100 subscribers. So excited. If you would like to interact with me on a live basis, I do stream tarot on Twitch 3 days a week. We do collective readings, we do personal readings, we do it all. So you can catch me Wednesday and Friday from 6 to 8 p.m. EST, as well as Saturday from 4 to 6 p.m. EST. So, Aquarius, with that, I leave you. I hope to see you on Twitch one of these days, but if I don't, it's okay. I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!